Hello everyone, I'm Carmen, one of the 3D modelers here at Firestorm Studios, and we'll be continuing our environment today. Quick note, over on YouTube, I've uploaded a link where you could follow along potentially if you wanted to, so you can find it down in the description. I'm not quite sure how to add that on Twitch, but bottom line is if you want to follow along, you can find a link in the YouTube description. Um, we've got the bare bone basics at the moment, in the sense of we've technically got a functional tower. We've got height, we can change the height, it's all brilliant. But the part I don't like about it is it's too constant, in the sense of yes, we're changing the scale marginally, but not to the point that I would have liked to change it. So bottom line is I want to change a couple of things. I want to change the fact that the scale is very linear. And then I want to change the fact that all the segments are identical. Now I could potentially rotate it. Oh, not in that direction, sorry. I could rotate it, and that'll give us a slightly different look. But in my personal opinion, that's not enough of a difference. For further, let's say, context, I'm quickly going to open up my references. Now, quick disclaimer in terms of references. I'm going to take a lot of creative liberties with this piece, so due to that, most of my references are AI. Because I'm not going to copy a one-to-one, and I haven't had a chance to search for concept artists. So, and due to me wanting to have permission to use the concept, I don't want to deal with that. And I'm going to do my own thing in any case. So, references. In terms of the main reference, I'd probably say it's this one. And already you can see there's a difference between the layers. For example, this layer is significantly smaller on that one than the one before it. This one has like a little outwards areas that some of the others don't really have. If we look at this reference, this one has a rounded door, that one is more square, that's again more square, this one's rounded again. Point is, there's a lot of differences, right? And I'd like to bring some variance into it. So, as it is now, I've got my basic nodes. Can I talk this morning? My basic node network. I've already labeled it that it's segment 1, door and windows. So I know the first segment is definitely going to be this. Now, as it is currently, we have a copy and transform, which is brilliant. Copies and transforms are great. However, I have not figured out a way to copy and transform a random object. I'm pretty sure you're stuck with this, just the one with this node, which means not ideal because I want multiple. So I can do it for coding. Do not have enough coding background in order to code it. So as an alternative, temporary solution, what I'll do is I'll create my segments. Let's say, just quickly backtrack a bit. Let's say this is my first segment and I had a second segment that went like, let's say, copy that. Can I duplicate that? Yeah. And I had a second one. I could then use a match size, plop that into there, that one into there. This one is the one that I'm taking the size of, the other one is the one that I'll be moving. And then I can use translate in the Y. It's min and max, yeah, like that, and then I can merge these together. Now, it's functional, it works, brilliant, but the problem I have with this is I'm not really randomizing the second segment unless I potentially added a switch with the control where I could swap out between the different segments. That would be an option. But bottom line is when it comes to making taller towers, this is going to get very clunky because let's say I have 10 segments. That means I'm doing this type of operation 10 times, which in my personal opinion is not ideal. I mean, it works, but it's not ideal. But until the time comes where I do have a coded solution for it, which I am working on, I've just not figured it out yet, and I don't think that'll be fun to see on my live stream. I've done enough problem solving on live streams that I want to do something that flows for once. So we're not going to be doing that. But what I will be doing is I will be doing as I just demonstrated. We'll be creating more segments that I'll then not copy and paste, but that I deleted something I shouldn't have. Yep, I want this archery actually. Bottom line is we're gonna do some more smooth sailing today rather than complete scrambling to figure out what needs to happen. So, having said all of that, see what we can do. The starting point is going to be one of two things. There's always options. I can potentially refine this first. Add window frames, add a door frame, add a door, and so on and so forth before I copy the network and change it for the second segment. Or alternatively, I can leave this the base and just copy it across and adjust as needed. In this case specifically, I actually think I'm gonna do what? I should have decided this beforehand. I think I'm going to add the door. I'm gonna add the door. Just because I want to know how to do that, and I've sort of figured out how to do it, so it's fine. Right, so in terms of the door, currently it's coming from up here. Right, so that's fine. If we boolean this, it goes into there. So what I technically want is, I want this back face. Now, booleans do come with groups. I'm not sure which group I want. So, just quickly move my desk slightly down. Right, so that's going to be... which one? We'll see. Let's get the geometry spreadsheet. Top, bottom. Alright. And that's going to be geometry spreadsheet, and we are going to be looking at probably primitive. I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's see what goes into that. What if we can change the selection so I can actually select the groups? Let's do that and select geometry groups. So extrude back is that one, B outside A is a whole lot of nothing. So I'm just quickly going to add all of these, and then we can go from there. A inside. B inside A. I think that's going to be the one we end up using. What's that one? The outside. Yeah, the outside. Okay, no, it won't be that one. What if we do overlap? What does overlap give us? That gives us a whole lot of nothing. Okay, got it. We're going to use that one. So, we've got that one. Now, what we technically want to do is we want to blast the front out. So we would want to remove this area. Because we only want this inner area, and that'll be technically extruded. Yeah, we'll probably extrude it. Why not? Now, I am maybe making a mess of things because I potentially want... how do I put it? I potentially want to add a door frame as well. If I add a door frame, I need to do that first, otherwise the scale is going to be very wonky of the door itself. So, what are we going to do? I want to do the door. We're going to do the door first. So let's do that. I see a couple more people have joined, so quick note, over on YouTube you can find the link to this file if you'd like it. I know some people like to mess with files. The file isn't that organized. It's got the bare bone organization. It's not a complete cluttered mess, but it's functional. But bottom line is, if you want to play with it, go ahead. Right, so. I'm going to blast. Probably blast. Why not? Let's do a blast. And that's going to go into there. And then we are going to grab B inside A. And we are going to delete not selected. Brilliant. Right, so in terms of deleting the front, probably the easiest would be to do a group. Do the group, plug that into that, and then we are going to select based on normals. So, in terms of normal direction, what are we going to do? Let's see. I want to view the group. Can I view the group? I can. Right, so that is not the direction we want to select. Let's zero that out. It's going to be firstly up. Do you want to select the top ones? And secondly, I do want to select the ones that are going in the X direction, so that's just going to be that one. Now hopefully this will still be functional. But that goes include normals matching the opposite direction. Don't want the back though. I think that's about it. Hello, I am up to building a tower, but I would say I'm having a tough time with it. I'm just trying to do too much with the current information I have. So we go down. Currently I'm copying and transforming one segment up, but I'd ideally, in the magic unicorn world, be able to do. Haven't figured it out, but I am planning to figure that out off camera though, because it's going to be finicky. Is I want to have like 5 different segments and have a random one with a random size plopped onto the first segment, and then have it randomized going up. But the problem I'm having is if I've got a different height scale, it's very problematic to copy it up. And I don't want even height segments. So I basically want to be able to copy, get the new scale, copy another one on top, get the new scale, copy it randomly. So probably explain that very badly, but that would be the end goal. I'm probably going to have to code that in. Don't know enough about coding, so I'll be learning coding and then implementing it. Bottom line is I'll be finding a workaround for it. I do have a workaround for it. It's just a bit of a clunky process and not quite as ideal as I would like it. It's going to make a really large network, which I don't really want. But yeah, bottom line is that's what I'm working towards eventually. But for now, I'm just detailing our initial, the initial tower, so to speak. So it's gonna be fun. Right, so let's do another blast. Why not? It's going to be blasted, and that's going to go into there, and I'm going to say that's going to be blast group. Why not? And that goes there, and then we're going to do that. Brilliant. We've got something to work with. Now, in terms of geometry, I'd ideally want this to have, what do you call it? Like planks. But for now, let's just get it working. Let's see, what can we do about that? Can we divide it? Edge divide? What will that give us? A whole lot of nothing. Okay, not gonna do that. Hello, Rad, how are you? What are we gonna do? Let's see. Because we've got a couple of options, but I'm not quite sure because we could potentially use a knife, but I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. We could use a resample, but again, is that what I want to do? Right, so we're probably going to be... What if we do... Might be a polypath or patch. Don't want to triangulate. We do a poly split. What will that do? Nothing. Right. Let's do a knife for now. And that goes into there. I wonder if we can do multiple. Probably not. Right. And that goes into there. Snapping tolerance. I actually like that it's over there. So, what we could potentially do... Potentially delete half. Divide it again. Mirror it. We'll see. Right, so, in terms of direction... Which direction are we going? Does this, that goes into there, that goes into there. Brilliant! Got that functional. Right, so I'm going to do that. Want it to be somewhat there, why not? And then I'm probably going to want to delete half of it. Could probably do that before the knife. Or before the second knife, that is. Only downside to this is... What? I wonder if we can just mirror it and merge the vertices. Not merge, mirror. Let us see. It's going to be... I'm going to do mirror and clip. And we plop that into there. That way around, sorry. That goes into there, that goes into there, and I believe might be the opposite direction. I'm not. Potentially. Brilliant. Okay, that works. That it works. Now the big question is, do we have overlapping vertices? Because I do not want overlapping vertices. We do not. Brilliant. Okay. So, from there we're going to do extrude. So that is going to be poly extrude. That gets plugged into there. And we probably want this to be individual elements because I want to scale each of these individually. So let's first create an inset. Doesn't have to be a major inset. Let's do 2. That is a bit of a major one. Let's do 1.5, 0.015, and then we can potentially either add a distance here, or alternatively, what we could do is do a separate extrude. I actually think I'm going to keep it like this to keep it simple. Yeah, let's do it like that. And then we can technically combine this back up. So, or well, merge it. What I don't know though, is there a transform at any of these points? There is. Right. So that goes into there, that copies up. I don't technically want that there, so we are going to do merge at this point. That goes into there, that goes into there, and then where did it go? Alright, so we might have to do it before the second Boolean. Boolean rotation. That might be where the problem lies. If we look at the Boolean, that goes into there. And then, yeah, it rotates. Okay, so what we could potentially do is plop that into there. And then that goes into there. Fine. Merge. Where is our all? What have I done? Right. Let's see. That goes into there. That is there. That plus. Right. That's where the problem is. Why are you moving my thingamajig at that point? Leave non-selected. No. Right. The angle is now incorrect. That is why. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. We will merge it before the rotation then. So basically what's happening there is I'm rotating it, therefore the normal angles are different, and we use normal to determine which areas to blast. So that is why. Instead of doing it like that, what we're going to do is, firstly, this is going to go into subnetwork. So that's going to be, what is that? Shift S. It's not Shift S. It's Shift C. And this is going to be door. Caps lock is on. That's why my typing is all wonky. There we go. Just because I don't want this huge network off to this side. Have you tried labs tools for modding more environments? Some of them predominantly dissolve flat edges. That's probably the one I use the most. Have not explored the other ones. I probably should. I do think I have it installed. Those are the plant ones. I never realized there was this many labs nodes. There's so many. Substance materials. Trim. Building generator. What does that do? What does that do? Let's see. I'm curious now. Primary. I'm going to need to research this because this looks interesting. Don't know what it does though. Block out geometry. Building modules. I'm gonna play with it. I'm gonna play with it. Have not used them. Right. So. Door that goes into there, then we can merge it. But I wonder if the building one would be somewhat what I have in mind for the tower. I wonder if it could give me what I want. Potentially. Maybe not, but potentially. Okay, but that's not gonna work. I think. Door. Let's go into there and view the final. Can we do output? Brilliant. That gets merged into there. Where does that thingamajig go? Where does my frame go? It is correct there. As soon as I jump out, it's actually not correct. Eh, that's why. That is why. Brilliant. Right, so that's functional. With a few new nodes for buildings, I don't know how customizable these though. Museum, it's mainly for city gens and destruction effects. Most likely, yes. I've just realized the sun has decided to destroy me. But yes, I think it's worth exploring though. Because at the end of the day, once I've got all my pieces, I would like to be able to generate a city from it. But that is, I would say a future problem, but a future problem. For now, I'm just worrying about getting the pieces, and then I'll worry about how do I make the pieces functional. But for now, that is a later problem. Right, so we have somewhat got a door frame. Do I want the simple door frame there? Do I want something more complicated? Do I want something more complicated? Nah, let's keep it simple for now. Let's keep it simple for now. So that goes into there, that gets Boolean together and rotated. That is still functional at that point. This gets Boolean into that, and that is still functional. Brilliant. Now, in terms of my windows, I'm actually not quite happy with the placement of them because I don't want my windows to be that deep. The door, yes, but not the windows. So what I'm probably going to be doing, where's my placement coming from? From there. So I technically want to go out with these. That would be more in line with what I want. And then ideally I do, the problem is, ideally I would want to be able to do similar to my door and blast out the areas I don't want. But I don't think that's going to work in this case because just due to the placement of things. What I could do, because this will eventually have to be a window, so I could make a group on the, I believe it's the back end of this Boolean, and just basically make a group of the faces, and that'll be a group I could then cut it potentially. But that's not going to copy over to the actual Boolean. Unless, what I could potentially do is not keep these faces, and then, I'm explaining this very badly. Basically, let's start from the beginning. I'm going to do the Boolean, but I do not want to keep, that needs to be solid. We do that. No, that'll give us that. We'll keep that solid with that as surface and then reverse it. Nope, 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 nope. Right. I've selected a bunch of stuff that I do not want to reselect. Right, so I do want to subtract, but I don't technically want these. Like building out the windows separately? Yes. Especially because they'll have a different material. So the first plan will be to firstly delete these, and then, or just split them out and have them turn to glass. So these ones, now I am selecting them manually, I will not be doing that. I want this to be procedural, so yes, potentially. I wonder if I'll keep the group for adequate to the back faces. But I'm not sure whether the Boolean will actually destroy the group, because ideally it would keep the group. But I could test it. So let's test it. Let's go into, I believe it's that one. And this will be on the, is it on the first extrude? It's on the first extrude. And I believe that'll be, let's see, that joint goes there, it'll be the front group. So let's grab that. That plops into there, that goes into there. Now the big question is, do I keep my groups? Maybe. Potentially. The number is round about right. Let's see if I do a quick blast just to see what I have. Just to see what I have. And we are going to grab. Ooh, brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I do keep my groups. The only downside is I've also got groups on the, what do you call it? On the door. So potentially what we should do is actually delete the groups on those. Don't want to preserve groups. Where is that? Turn that off. Huh. Fixed it. Brilliant. So from here what I could potentially do is, firstly this will be blasted out, but I basically want the inverse on this side. So do that and give this a color just so I can visualize it. Color, and that's going to be blue because window. And then that goes into there, and then we can merge that back into that. That goes there, that goes there. Brilliant. Okay, that's functional. Now what we technically want to do is we want a frame for it. So we can do that one of two ways. Trying to think what would be the best way. The easiest way would be to create a square of some sort and basically use the window to cut off the edges. That'll be the easiest. Wonder if we can do that. Let's try it. Let us try it. So we've got our window there. Right. So we'll probably build it before we do the match size, etc. Let's try cube. Let's use a cube, and this will solidly just be a test. I just want to see whether what I'm visualizing in my head is possible, and whether the method I'm using is the right method for this situation. Because potentially it's not, which is fine. We can work with it, but yeah, let's see. So I want that to be 0.1, which means I probably want that to also be 0.1. No, we want that to be 0.5. Potentially with the thinner than that, let's try 2.5. And then we can probably change the height. Now I am changing this manually, which is, I'd say, not ideal actually, but to run with it for now. Right, so I'm actually going to zero that out for a second and copy that size into the reference there, and then I'll do a copy and transform, and then I'm going to do height, get more instances, not rotation, translation. See that, and then I want to do one down the center as well. So I'm just going to flip this in a different direction, rotating on probably Z. Brilliant. And then instead of grabbing, which size am I grabbing? Probably that one. And then we are going to delete channels on this. A short reference, and that is going to be 0.5. Alright, that gets merged. Is this the best way to do it? I do not know, but it's the way I'm doing it now. I can always change it at a later time. I'm aim is here just to get it functional. That's the wrong one. I want this one. I want it thinner because why not? Right, now we technically want this to cut that. Let's see if we can figure that out. And that goes into there. No, not no. What am I doing? It is Boolean. It is a Boolean, and that goes there. That goes into there. That goes probably before the copy and transform actually. So let's do that one. Let us do that one, and this is based upon that, so that should be fine. Don't want to subtract. Do we want to subtract? I want the inverse of that. Can we do A and B? Both? What does both do? I don't want that though. What if we turn that into... Let's try B and A. This is that. Turn that into solid. That into surface. Technically we do get what we need. We just need to split out this area. But I didn't like doing this many blasts. So, what if we do... Don't want to shatter it. Don't want to combine it. Okay, that's the best option. We're going with it. Quickly going to figure out which group we want. This will be... What is this side? That's probably... So technically we want to get the B polygons. Potentially. Let's see, select, and that's going to be geometry group. That selects a lot of things. Let's see. Overlap. Not sure which one I want. We'll see. We'll see. Let's do a blast. It's definitely one of the groups. I don't think it's A inside B though. I probably think it's A outside B. Let's see. So go into there, that gets deleted. Unfortunately not. Okay, so it's not A outside B. Let's try that one. Delete not. That's still grouping everything though. Why is it grouping everything? We don't want reverse spaces. What if we do the polys? Let's try that one. That goes into there. That goes into there. That's still selecting everything. What if we change that to primitives? No. Am I crazy or should this have worked? The alternative is... But the problem with this is, how do I reverse that? Because I can't just go AB, because then I get this exterior piece. Is it not reading the group properly? I suspect it's not reading the group properly, but I'm not sure why it's not reading. You're reading the group properly. Most likely user error, quite frankly. What if we do that? That might be it. Let's try that. Got it, got it, got it, got it. Brilliant. So that is functional and that can get merged. Technically I'm first going to tidy this a little bit and then probably going to put this into another sub network just to condense it down. That's going to be Shift C, and this is going to be window. I don't know why my caps lock is constantly on, but anyway, window frame. Now technically this isn't the actual frame, it's probably the inner frame, so let's do inner. And then we can merge those together again. So that's going to be merge. That gets blocked into there, that goes into there, and then move this a little bit down. That goes into there, this goes into there. In theory. No, but that's going to get booted. So, we do want a match size, but we don't want it to be mirrored. So, let's quickly undo that. We do want a match size. I'm just going to copy this one. So, technically, we could actually do the merge. But let's think. No, let's keep it separate. Let's keep it separate. So that one goes into there. I believe this one goes into there. That goes into there. And then can merge at some point. But we can't do it before the boolean because otherwise we lose our frame. So that goes. Also going to need this copy and transform most likely. That goes into there. That goes into there, and then it will be merged after the boolean, so we can actually repurpose the merge down here. Alright, now why are you too big? It's probably at the front instead of the back. If I'm correct, that'll mean go here. Template that actually. Yep, I've got the wrong side. I've got the freaking wrong side, so we're going to rework that. So. The flip side is we can just rotate it. I think I'm just gonna rotate it. Possibly. Possibly. Would I be crazy for doing that? Probably. Because this is a world origin, so that's not going to really help me to rotate it. It will in fact not help me. I could adjust the offset, but that's a bit... I hate adjusting the offset on things like this because it's very... I wouldn't say clunky, but clunky. Also my normals are reversed, which is not quite ideal either. Why are my normals reversed? Let's just reverse it again. Reverse. Oh, it's because I'm going in a negative offset. That's why. That's probably why. Okay, that's fixed. That goes into there. Brilliant. We've now got window frames. Now, I do not quite like how they look. So that is a factor. What can we change? What can we change? Probably going to jump into this one. Ooh, is it that one? Probably this one. 0.5. This is the vertical one, so it is that one. Well, not the vertical, I want the horizontal one, so this one. And I'm probably going to do that. 0.5. I actually think that's still too thick, so let's do also 2.5. And then I want the same amount of copies, but I don't want to go that high. I want it to be more. No, don't want it to be 3. Maybe more like that. Why not? Alright. Now we still need a frame. Still need a frame. So, to get the frame, we can do it one of 2 ways. I suspect if we do overlap, we'll get that exterior edge. Maybe. Potentially, and then we could potentially sweep that as well. So that is an option. Alternatively, we can grab the correct size this time and That's going to be back faces on the second extrude, in theory. And I can basically dissolve the faces and get. I just realized everything is so dark here. Anyway, basically grab the back faces and dissolve it so we can get the perimeter, or I can just convert to edges, whichever, and then sweep that. Potentially. So, how am I going to do that? I also think, speaking of, that I don't have enough resolution on the actual tower thing. But that is an extra problem. Right, so focusing for half a second here. Going to leave that part of the network, going to leave this part of the network. I'm going to grab which part? Technically the windows, and that'll be grabbing. Okay, that's a cylinder, so it's not that one. It is the Boolean. So we technically want this one, and we want group, so that's going to be front group. Second one, I believe. Right, so that goes into there, and then let's see if we can actually grab that. So let us see. Let me think what I had it previous time. Doesn't matter. Right, so we are going to do a blast. Let's do a blast. Now I'm building this all over the place, but I will organize it at some point. So that's going to be extrude front second. Hi Cyber, how are you? And then delete non-selected. Brilliant. And then from there we are going to convert. Can I convert to a line? I can. Nice to remember I subscribed. Thank you. I think my notifications are not working because I don't get notifications. So thank you. I appreciate it. So you can be hoping she knows black magic, a witch. Well, I like witches. I've actually made really witchy pottery mugs that I should probably put on the Discord at some point. I have. Don't have them with me now because I gave them away as a gift, because witches give gifts apparently. Sorry for the dark stream, guys. I don't know what's going on with my camera because there's light. I can almost not see my screen with how much light there is, but apparently I'm living in darkness. Alright, so we've got a line. Now we can sweep, potentially. Let's see. Just sweep. Houdini is fun. Do Houdini, guys. Can we see it? Yes, we can. Let me just figure out how to show it to you guys. It's probably on my phone. So. Let's see. Do Discord. And I'll just show you, I'll just share my screen, you guys can see it. Actually, let's do... Discord is probably fine. Do Discord, and then... Can you send stuff to yourself in Discord? Because that would be the ideal. Probably not. Probably not. Trying to figure out what the best way to do this would be. I can. Text channels. I've technically got my own server, apparently. Right, focusing for half a second here. Let's see. General chat, probably not the best idea. let's plop that into there, and then we can do. Where's the voice channel? It's going to be that one, and then chat. And then we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. So that's going to be there. For a moment, I thought he was going to stick the phone to the camera. About the I mean, that is an option, but I don't think it will work very well. Right, so let's go gallery, and that was, when would it have been? Last year, August. Forever ago. Let's see. I need to stop taking so many photos. That'll make these things very, very simple. Do that one. Jan. And then I go in Discord and I'm going to share screen. So. Let's do that, and that's going to be into there, and open chat, and then there is our Gucci mouse. Very shaky video, mind you. A very freezing video as well. It froze. Brilliant. Probably because I'm streaming at the same time. But yeah. We've got colder mugs. Colder mugs are fun. So I don't know why it's freezing. I think that probably my internet is not so lenient as to be able to stream, show a video, do Houdini, etc, etc, etc. But yeah, bottom line is that is the mouse. Thank you. Quit that, and then we're good to go. They're very fun to make. Actually, it was a collaboration. So I collaborate. My mom is a professional potter. She has pottery classes and so on. So I made the mugs and did most of the carving, and she made the handles, and I made the feet. So there's that. And then it took forever. We started it in March, and then I think we finished in August. So it took forever to do, and then we gave it away as a gift, as these things go. Alright, so that's going to be Squidube, and we are going to orient along curve, fixing normals, and then that goes into there, and this is very wonky. You made a mug like with clay and stuff? Yep. Porcelain clay. So it was an interesting experience because you have to make it on the pottery wheel and then do a bunch of hand building on top of. So you have to alter a bunch of things. Also, since we're doing environment, I've been working on a storm environment shot. If you could weigh in another layout of material like in general. Yes, I would love to see it. Love to see it. I'm not sure what the best place to upload would be. Probably in the Discord. Let's see. If you're on the Discord, probably the best place to put it would be in... Where is it? Where is it? I believe it's under share. Share your work in progress. This would probably be the best place to do it. Also, if you are not part of a Discord, you can find the Discord. Oh, we've got a commercial break as well. That's highly inconvenient. But you can find it here somewhere. I think it's probably this side. Patreon, TikTok, Twitter. Do we not have Discord linked? We do. We do. So we can you can just upload it here, and I'll take a look. Alright, trying that too seems fun. Pottery is fun. Pottery is very fun. Highly recommend. it depends what you're doing, right? I like making functional ways, but if you like sculpting, pottery is good for that as well. Right, so. I wonder if we do a join, whether this would be better. Okay, let's sweep that. No, that is not better. Right. Join. Keep primitives wrap master first. Why don't we do that? And then sweep that. No. The sweep is not my friend today. It could be partly a scale issue, and it definitely is partly a scale issue, but the other issue we have... Actually, I say it's partly a scale issue. But I don't actually think it is. So, instead of doing that, what can we do instead? We've got that. We can dissolve faces. Edges to curves. Curve from edges. That one. We do that instead of convert line. Still do the orient. Still do the probably the join before the orient. Let's see, what is the point number order? That goes 0. Right. We potentially want a vertice right at the bottom. And that might be part of the problem. Or not. I think it works now. Except for the top. This top still doesn't work. What if we change the stretch? No. No. That does not work either. But why do you not work? Is the big question. Sweep is fine. I don't have to sweep. The normals are fine. The points are fine. It's just deciding to be wonky at the top. Hello, not so FBI. How are you? I'm good. I'm not procrastinating, but I am struggling. But that, I mean, it wouldn't be one of my streams if I wasn't struggling. You guys get to watch me suffer, so enjoy. Alright, so. You need something like clip or merge by distance for that. Probably, but usually the join sorts it out, because if we actually look at the point numbers, there aren't points on top of each other. But I'm assuming I probably need a point down here. I'm assuming. Let's try that off. No. In theory, it should have worked. It just doesn't. Houdini does not listen to my in theory theories. In the sense of, I can demo this or do this on my own and it'll work, and I'll do it on stream and it won't work. It's one of those types of situations. But yeah, let's try a merge by distance. Is there a merge by distance? No, there is not. What do you call it? Fuse. We could possibly do polypath. I am not into procedural modeling, never used Houdini, neither Blender GNOs. Well, I highly recommend trying it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a bit of a struggle as well. But it is fun. And by the way, your suggestion worked. It wasn't called merge by distance, but it does the same thing, and that is fuse. And it in fact did fix it. So thank you. Seems like I try to overcomplicate things. In fact, I can guarantee I try to overcomplicate it. So we've got that working. Now I don't actually want a square tube yet, so we are going to do... How are we going to do this? Potentially we could do... Let's do a cube. It's going to get blasted anyway. So actually, instead of doing that, I'm going to do the nitty-gritty quick way of creating a profile. I'm not going to do a super complex one, which means that we're going to do it by hand, which is a big no. There is a way of doing it not by hand, but it takes longer and I want to be making progress, so we're going to do it the quick and easy way. Right, so we want roughly that much, and then actually maybe we want more. Do we want more? Yeah, why not? Let's do that, and that. Why not? Just a funny profile. I wonder if we can divide it. Can we get something pretty by dividing it? No, that's not what we want. Can we do dissolve? Long geometry? No. Flat edges. So I technically want you to turn this into a curve. I could potentially... No, let's leave it. Let's do... What are we gonna call it? A resample? Probably. Let's resample. My caps lock is on again. I don't know why I keep doing that. Right, so that's going to be resample, and that's going to be subdivision. Ugh. That is horrible. Maybe we should bevel before we subdivide, because we do want some crisp areas. So let's do bevel. Let's do that, and that goes into there, and then can we actually see what we're doing here? Points. Case from roof. Points. Can we bevel points? We probably need to do this before we dissolve. Alright. Exclusion. Little inline points. Alright, making progress here. Let's do that. Do want it to be round. But technically I want to bevel the inner ones as well. These ones. Can I do that? Apparently not. Ugh. That is horrible. That is terrible. Why can't I do the inverse as well? Very annoying. Right, wheel work fit. That goes to there, that gets resampled. Actually, that is not too bad. But I don't want that many points, so let's try resample by polygon edge. That's so many points though. I don't want that many points. Let's see if we can go with the bare minimum. I don't want it to be even though. Even along arc. Let's stick to this. Okay, it's functional. It's too high poly for my taste, but we're making it work. Right. So this is gonna get swept. So we plug that into this. Now, most likely the orientation will be off. I can almost guarantee it. It is in fact off. So we can rotate this probably. To rotate it on, what would that be? X. Is it X? I don't know. We'll find out. It was in fact not X. That's center. It's not rotation. That's why. And potentially that'll work. It's too big though. Way too big. There we go. Let's get rid of our points so we can see what we're working with. That is not too bad, but I think in this case, instead of scaling it all the way down here, because we're going into minute small values, what I could probably do, now keep in mind this might break my bevel, be that as it may, let's just reduce the scale by a lot. And I think it did break this poly bevel, so let's just see what that's doing. Right, so let is change the distance on that. And then if we sample, there. See, that's too much. That is way too much. Let's do maybe like that. That's still a lot though. How many points is that? How many points? 179. That's insane. That's totally insane. What if we do maximum segments? We do need that many apparently. Horrible. Okay. Well, we'll work with it. It's not a game model, guys. It's not going to be a game model. We'll see how we battle that. Now, one of my... No, that's not the one I'm going to scale. One of my problems is... I actually think the direction is still wrong. Let's frame that. Because... Well, it is actually square. It is square, so it's technically not wrong. Can we scale this though? I mean, we could. Don't want to scale in that direction. Just posted shorts on Drive. I hope upload limit. No worries. Let's take a look at that. That's going to be an issue. Where did you upload it though? Share your finished work maybe? Nope. Ah, found it. Let's do that. Right, let me just quickly see what you wanted advice on. I've been working on a storm environment short. If you could weigh on the layout material like general. Does he love the dust? Right. In terms of, let me just quickly look at your peer ref. Down at that. Looks very yeah, okay, there you go. Just see and give it a second to load. It's still downloading. I won't take too long. Right, well that's downloading. Let's fix the scaling on this thing. So ideally we'd want it to go this way wider. So it's resampled. We probably need to scale in the height. Oh, my PC is not very happy with me. My screen went black for a second there. Loud material test. Alright. Quickly going to move the light because it's actually shining directly on my screen. So, in terms of materials, I would say you need a little bit more detail in your materials. Because it looks like a Lambert at the moment. It could be a Lambert type material, which is just grayscale. What you could potentially do is add some grime to it. Just quickly check. So I would say add some grime, add some dust, because you've got all this dust in the background, but it's not on your objects themselves. So to explain the dust cloud and the fog and explosions and stuff like that, you would want some grime to the actual buildings as well. Oh no, not building, just the swirl, sorry. Okay, just the swirl. I would say add a little bit of saturation to it. Because right now it might just be that way on my screen. I'm quickly moving it to a different screen. Everything is grayscale, which there's nothing wrong with if that's what you're going for, but adding a little bit of color to either your environment itself, so your rocks and stuff, or to the dust cloud itself would be beneficial. Now, it would depend, because, how do I put this? it would depend a bit on your environment itself, but to me, it looks like there's a slight red tint to the environment. So you could potentially bring that same red tint into the dust cloud. But that would again depend on whether it's just a dust cloud, an explosion. Obviously, if it's an explosion, you'll be adding fire, which would again, or some form of a glow. So that would again be a little bit of saturation. In terms of layout, I really like this shot. Really like this shot. So I don't think you need to mess with layout too much, but I do think adding a little bit of color to your scene would help. Because right now it's quite monotone, which is fine. Again, it's fine. But if you were to want to push this a little bit more to kind of draw the viewer in, people like color. People like color. So if you bring a little bit of color, it doesn't have to be over the top, but just a little bit would help. But for the rest, I think it looks great. I really like it. What software did you use for it? Did you build the environment as well? Or just the dust cloud? Right. So, meanwhile, no, don't want to do that. I need to actually scale this thing. So let's do scale. Not scale, transform. I should start actually thinking of what I'm doing rather than connect the material. Gotcha, yeah, no. A lot of my pieces have no color. I'm told to push it. Yes, definitely push your color a little bit. You don't have to do overly saturated because obviously you're probably going for realism here. At least it looks that way because it is very realistic. So by adding just a little bit of color, you can kind of draw the viewer in, but do it selectively. Either, I would probably say leave your environment relatively grayscale, but add the color to your cloud itself. That way the viewer's eye will be drawn to that area specifically. You don't have to worry about it too much for the environment because I'm assuming it's like an evening type of scene, or early morning potentially. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, everything's in Houdini except the building is Kibash. It's a cool building too though. You could actually make this building in Houdini. You could. So there's the fun fact for you. So if you ever wanted to recreate it and have a fun little challenge, trying to remake it in Houdini. But I'm biased because, yes, I'm just biased. Let's leave it at that. Right, so scaling. We are going to scale in the height. So it helps if I actually view it. Don't know if that's too much though. Let's get rid of the points. I think we could probably reduce the samples of this. We do lose some detail, but I think in the bigger scheme of things it won't be visible, so it's fine. Right, so this needs to be merged. And I'm trying to think, this was supposed to be for the windows. So technically we need some form of a scale. I wonder if I can plop it into this. No, not at that point. Not at that point. Matras, let's see. The problem is we've got a match size that's moving this one over in that direction. So what if we actually used this blast instead? Or do we actually blast it out? Let me see. What if we change that group? The inside A, that one goes there, that goes boolean. Alright, so that's why it's over there. It's at the world origin. I don't want to create another match size though. don't want to create another match size because then it's just repetition of so many things over and over and over. And it's basically the same nodes, which means if I change one, I have to change all of them. Which is not ideal. I'm not happy with this. Right, so, how are we gonna handle this? Let's just do a merge for now. Technically we could grab, no we can't because that gets brilliant. Never you mind. Okay, it is what it is. We're doing another match size. Yay. And then we're going to do another copy and transform. Again, not what I had in mind, but we're going to run with it. This is too wide, so I'm losing scale at some point. Where did I get scaled from these there? Because I grabbed that. Right. Okay, so I need that as well. And that goes into there, and that goes into there, that gets merged there. Don't need the merge. And that goes into there. Technically that's the same position as the other one though, so I wonder. Maybe. That could go there. Potentially. That gets merged. But that positioning is very off. That positioning is very off. We could move it. But the problem with moving it is, again, if we ever change anything, it's not going to be functional. What if we also zero it? No, we can't zero it. Let me just quickly template this. We could do a match size just to get that zeroed. Why is it not zeroed in the first place? Right, okay. Doing this. At least this way we're getting rid of the second copy and transform. We'll play on the saturation, the focal points, yeah, true that. Or what was the other match size for again? We've got a cluttered mess over here. So, the first match size is to get the window to the exterior of our tower. So that we can boolean that in. Alright. The second one, which is for the frame, is we just remove the merge for that. Is for this piece over here. And that does nothing. Wait. I've broken it. Okay, wait. So that goes there. That goes there. Right. So that's also to get to the exterior of the building, but to the inner part of the frame. So if we quickly view the whole thing, that plops it here. And make sure it lines up with the actual the window frame. So from there, I technically want the frame. But what I suspect I'm going to be doing, could do it for match size, could do it for transform, but bottom line is I'm probably going to skip the copy and just, I want to do this for transform. Let's not do that. And we are going to, can we center it? Center. 0. Center. Take this world origin. Please. I'm not viewing it. I'm not viewing it. Right, but that is centered now. Now, I don't technically want it completely centered though. Can we do min? Why did we do that? Right. Now that should be none. Right. Now we can technically merge it. And that can get reference there, that can get reference there, and that can go to there. Why aren't you moving? Oh, I need to merge before that. So. That needs to merge there. That needs to merge there. And then that needs to get plugged into there, that, there. And like that. Brilliant. That's why I had the transform. The transform was actually for the scale of the window itself. No, I want to copy it. That gets plopped into there, that gets plopped into there. Why are you smaller though? I don't care. Don't care. Right, so the problem if I reverse it though. Will that fix it though? And that's going to implement another reverse. But I didn't want to do that. Right. I'm gonna rework it. So instead of doing it this way, what I'm going to be doing is actually basing the position of the inner frame upon the position of the Boolean. I think. At some point. I'll probably reorganize this at some point. Let's just get it functional. Is it ideal to have it this way? No, it's not. But it's functional. You can for merging. That is a brilliant idea. Alright, let's do that. So that goes into there. That goes into there. And then this gets merged. Hello, what happened here? So that, I wonder if that's supposed to be on that instead. Well, what did I do? I broke something somewhere. Of course I did. Right. The big question is, where did I break it? Let's see. Okay, so that works. I don't want this to be templated. Alright, so that still works. The match size works. The copy and transform works. So, Boolean is functional. That means it broke somewhere else. So that gets merged. That gets Boolean. Ha, found it. So technically that needs to go into here. Alright. That gets blasted. That works. Alright, so the next part is the mat size. And this is probably where it broke. So that gets copied into there, that gets merged. So technically if we bring that out, our frame is way too big, by the way. Okay, let's shrink our frame down a little bit. That's going to be in this transform, so that's going to be scale. Let's try 2. Hello. Apparently that's not where we want to be. But then it's in the reverse. What if? Right, well then we just adjust the match size, I guess. Not that one. Have that there. That is technically functional, and nobody can tell me otherwise. We say that's functional. I say that's functional, so therefore it is functional, even though it's not. But that's the details. We don't worry about the details right now. Right, so that is prettier than it was. It is prettier than it was. I'm probably going to repurpose this frame for the door as well, because I actually quite like it. The only difference would be that I would not want the front. In other words, well, not front, the bottom. I wouldn't want this piece for the door frame. So, what are we gonna do next? We could technically do this for the door frame. Or we can start creating a new segment. That is an option as well. But actually, I think what I'm going to be doing is I want to change this piece. Instead of having like a mini roof, I want to go closer to the original concept, which had, well, one of the original concepts, which has this like frame thing. So, that's going to be within the original segment, and that's going to be the cylinder, and I want to actually keep this straight. That's going to be 1.2. And then I'm going to make it thinner. So, height. That's going to be more or less like that. Alright. And then, but that's so boring. That is so boring. What can I do to make it more interesting? Let's add a bevel. Or we can boolean it together and let's boolean them together. Do want to match size, but instead of merging them together, I just want to create a boolean so that we can get a prettier curve. Let's boolean that goes into there, that goes into there, and that's going to be union. Brilliant. We can skip the merge, that goes into there, merge gets deleted, and then once we've got that, we can potentially bevel, poly bevel, and then we can ignore flat edges. Oops, that's too much. And I don't want to bevel the corners, so change that. Oh, that's already prettier. And then once we've got that, now see, that's much better. We do want a slightly smaller bevel though. Maybe 2.5? No, that's not. 3. Let us. Maybe that much. Maybe that much. And then what I would ideally do is we now need a frame. So, I say frame. Is it a frame? It's not a frame. It's a railing. We need a railing. So we are going to do definitely a sweep. Sweeps are fun. What are we going to do a sweep? Yeah, let's do a sweep. Why not? So that is going to be. You have to specify a curve. That's going to be more problematic. Which curve are we going to specify? We could potentially build it on ground 0 and just lift it up based upon a height. For another match size. We're losing a lot of match sizes here. So, let us see. We can build really the best way. Could copy a fence along a curve, but the problem with that is, again, it doesn't follow the actual curve, it's just straight. Choices, choices, choices. Let's do a standard sweep for now. And we are going to use, what is the base? Probably this cylinder. And probably, just see where that is. That's too deep into it. Or is it? Potentially. Okay, let's do a group. Let's do a group. Bounding a region would probably be the easiest way of doing it. Where can I see your portfolio? On ArtStation is probably the best place. My portfolio is heavily outdated. It is one of those things. I've been working, and I'm not allowed to put what I work on my portfolio at this point. Alright, so that's going to be, I'll send a link, so that's going to be, and while we're at it, everyone else should also send their art stations, because it's nice. Networking is key in this industry, so share your portfolio. Other people can follow you and see what you're up to, which is brilliant. Let's do that, and then yeah, more of the story, bottom line is, please also share your art stations, your websites, whatever you want to share. Make that one, and then I'm going to plot that into where? Let's do into here. Is it possible to get the curve design from the lantern and use that for the railing? Yes, it is. It is, and that's a very good idea. I don't even have a BOS. Actually, I might, but I think that's even more outdated than my art station, and my art station hasn't been updated in like a year. So there is that. I could actually do that. Let's do that. Let's open a file. Let's open a file. We might not get it fully implemented today because I'm apparently very slow today, but we can get started on that. So that's going to be, where is it? That one, streaming lantern. Lantern. Let's do that. Let us see. Houdini takes so long to open though. Why? Why does it have to take so long? I'm 1000% sure when I started using Houdini, it did not take this long to open. And I don't think it's my PC specs that are too low, because yes, I didn't have the best PC, but other people with much better PCs than I do have also been complaining that it's gotten slower, so I don't think it's unique to me. Right. So, hello. Why did you want to open? Oh, you're wrong screen. Brilliant. Brilliant. And we can grab, I think it's this part. Pedestal pattern. No. Groups and the transform. Art along curve. Which points? Okay, so basically what I did was I created one and then I just did a linear taper. Just did a linear taper. So in theory, if I just did a linear taper, I can just create another curve thingamajig. The art looks good. I followed you on our session. Thank you for following me. I'll follow you back. Wait, let me do that. I'd actually need to sign in for that. Let's do that, and then hope I can remember my password. Was not that one. Let's hope it's this one. It's not that one. Check if you're interested in archers. I am. I just don't have time to explore it. But I am interested in it. Yeah, I've logged in now. Let me follow you back. I love the stove that you did. Fun fact, I actually also created a stove. Way back when. For the viewers, so to actually be able to see, the stove I was talking about was this one. It's always fun creating grimy textures. Creating clean textures is a skill onto its own. That is a quite common asset, not gonna lie. I guess it is. It is. It was actually one of the first things I created on my own. Actually, it was probably the first one I created independently because I was studying, and obviously when you're studying you do what the course material says you have to create. So due to that, it's kind of my first project where I did my own thing, so to speak. And then the other one I wanted to check was this one, just manners. I love all the rest of things because those are quite easy and you have to think a lot for those. Yes. Clean textures are almost more difficult. I like this one. They're all pretty though. They're all pretty. The only downside to website is I can't follow you, so I can't see what you're as you update things and upload new things unless I remember to check. Right, so focusing for half a second here. We're talking about a fence. So for the fence, ideally, we'll just be doing a little. I don't have any socials for my portfolio yet. Working on that. Could you please go through Behance? Did you link that though? Let's see. Oh, that looks nice though. That's really nice. Do you make all your own assets or do you just do the placement of them? I like them live. I like ornate stuff. Yeah, but your portfolio looks really nice. Clears that up. Right, so focusing for half a second, let's get our environment stuff working and functional. So, plan is fence. And since it's just technically a linear taper, I'd probably be off to do my own. I just started to Houdini. Is it normal that my work disappears faster than Houdini's donations? What do you mean by disappears? Right, so. We want cylinder, but we technically want a bigger cylinder. So what I'm actually going to do is this changes. Let's grab that, copy that parameter, paste it into this, and then times 1.0. I'm not sure. 1.1. Is that too much? No, I think that's fine. Let's template this one at the bottom just to see. Yeah, that's fine. Right, so once we've got that, we can create some type of pattern. We could do it with a line. We could do what? What I can do is grab the pattern I used in the previous with the lantern and just add an edge at the top and the bottom. And I think that's what I'm going to be doing. So, starting off strong, what we're going to be doing is, can we do this without the top? We do 0 segments. I've made some painting materials and uploaded free on community library just for fun and got over 150,000 downloads. That's impressive. That's really impressive. You could have, if you charged like 50 cents for it, you would have gotten a lot of money from it. You didn't have to make it expensive. Maybe consider adding a cost to it. But that's me being business minded. Obviously, it's very nice of you to do it for free. But it is something you could potentially monetize. Because obviously, passive income is key. Right, so I'm actually wondering if we can use a circle instead of using the cylinder, because then we can kind of make things easier for ourselves. And I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it in that direction. 90. Now, I love to give away stuff. I like being generous. That's really nice of you. I mean, I get it. It's important to give back to the community. But for some things, it's also nice if you can monetize it. Because industry is tough right now. Alright, so segments. 16. Well, let's do that. 16. And then we are also going to grab this one and do a couple parameter paste. And that's going to be. What's the second radius? Who knows? Who knows? Let's do 1.1. Oh, it's in that direction. Got it. Is reference. That's going to be times 1.1. 1.1. I'm not sure what's going on with our music. I'm going to skip this one. Right. So we now technically do not need a group. Which is brilliant. I mean, I'm not good at Houdini. Houdini takes practice. I'm not brilliant at Houdini either, to be perfectly honest. I stumble my way through all my live streams, and sometimes people learn stuff, sometimes they don't. It's usually a fun time though, so there is that. But bottom line is, Houdini is not an easy software to learn, so be patient with yourself. I will be, but it's not simulation, but I will be making a beginner course for Houdini in the future. Actually, that's probably starting production for it in the next few weeks. So that will be coming. And I know Firestorm Studios will be making other tutorials as well and courses, but mine will be most likely Houdini focused. But I would not do it in the style of these live streams. I would have an actual plan. Because it's difficult to follow along to these because I try a lot of stuff. I actually just spend most of the time playing. But yeah, bottom line is be patient with yourself. Houdini is difficult. It's not something you can learn quickly. These are some really cool simple plugins I found for Houdini. Emergency. They do look cool. They do look really cool. Start frame, flip it, switch background. That's brilliant. Using Maya Blender Substance ZBrush. Ooh, my mind is shutting down. I know, it's difficult, and sometimes you switch between all of them on in the same day. At that point, well, I've done it, but at the end of the day, you no longer know what's up, what's down. Right, so I want to grab the pattern from the lantern, so that's going to be that one, and then I wonder if I can copy this and just directly paste it into a new network. That would be fun. I can. I can. I can copy and paste it. That's brilliant. Houdini is wonderful. Right, so however, what's going on with my scale? Why are you broken? That's going to be mirror, join. Is it scale related? Let's see. Line, attribute, normal, resample, functional, attribute Bob. Oh, my curve breaks. That's so inconvenient. Why are you broken? Oh, that was locked. That was why. That is why. Okay, let's delete. Delete. And then do Bezier. Can I actually change stuff now? What is the saying back in uni? Houdini is evergreen and everlasting. 1000% yes. I agree. I agree. Ah, there it is. There is a problem. So that's going to be delete. Right, now we should thankfully be able to change this to Bezier. In theory. Brilliant. Why are you still locked? Why? Why? Annoying. Okay, but let's rebuild this one. That's going to be in there. Sometimes cheating gets you nowhere. So, let's create a new attribute Bob. It's going to be add Bob. Brilliant. That goes into there, that goes into there. We need bind. Bind gets plopped into there. I'm not going into too much detail because I think I've described this technique for every single live stream I've done since October or November. I think I started in November. So there is that. Right, so that's going to be that, and then we need ramp. Ramp parameter, and that curview goes to that. Does curview go into that? I think so. And then that's going to be display small. No. That gets plopped into there. Ramp goes into. Point goes into point. Normal goes into normal. Mount. Is it that way? Spline. Right, that goes into there. Now please be not broken. Ha! It works. Okay, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So that is going to be a Bezier curve. And we are going to create a thing. Now, I think there's two rows. There is. So that goes into there, that gets plopped into there, and that gives us that. Then it gets joined. I wonder. Can't join it though. We could flip it around. What happens if we reverse it? Right, so that would probably be better. And then we can join it, do all the other pretties. Resample, fuse, orient. Transform, what does transform do? Right. And that one, and then that gets swept. Oh, that is awful. Let's see. Alright, and then we get a match size to center it in the world. And that gets outputted. Right. So, how does this compare in size? Probably need double that size. But I don't want it in the height. I want it bigger in the... Let's do 2 and change that to 1. Oh no, that's not what I want. Let's just keep that at 1, change that to 2. No. That's what I get for rotating it. Everything is wonky. That is nothing. It's that one, of course it's that one. Right. Right. So, technically, that looks wonky, so let's try 2.5. And then we need a slightly bigger sweep, so let's try 0.025. Alright. Brilliant. And then, do we need a resample there? I think we could probably leave the resample. There's some wonkiness in the center, but I'm pretty sure there's some form of a scale. Right, so we've got that working. In terms of scale, let's do copy. Can we do copy along curve? Copy 2 curves. So that would be that one. Right. Now the orientation is wonky, so let's just fix that. We can probably zero that out. No, we cannot. I'm using advanced skeleton for rig characters in mind. That is an easy way to make animated. It's kind of available for the software. Not that I know of. I know you can rig in Houdini, and I know if you know enough about Houdini, you can have a pretty good time with it. Quite frankly, I do not have any experience with rigging. So, in theory, it's possible, but I don't think it would be as easy as it is with advanced skeleton. If that makes sense. Right, so that is that. Technically this is too big, so that's one problem. The next problem is it's pointy, but technically our circle is 2, so it should be fine. Right, so we're just going to scale it a little bit down. Let's do that much, and that is pretty brilliant. In terms of the sweep, we also want a sweep, so that's going to go to there, and then that's going to get merged. That goes into there, that goes into there, that goes pretty round. Why not? Reduce the radius. I don't like it like that. I technically want this to be just quickly check. Is this in the middle of the floor? Yes, so in the match size, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to center it on the Y as well. So that if we then copy to curves, it's technically on top, which is brilliant because now I'm quickly going to change the scale of that. I can do copy and transform, and then I can plot that into high translation, and that's going to be a very funny value most likely. That goes into there, and technically grab that, that goes into there, just view what it looks like. Right, so this is technically at the bottom, so we need to do a match size first. We need a match size, so that's going to get merged, and then we do match size. That gets plopped into there, that goes there, that goes there. Then another merge inconveniently. And then of course in the match size we will need to change that from center to, if it's maximum and min, it's the opposite, it's max min, that one. That gets merged with that gets merged with that goes into output. Brilliant, we've got a frame. Is it the prettiest frame I've ever made? No, it is not, but it's functional. It is functional, so I cannot complain. Right, so. We could, in theory, play with the shape a little bit, if we wanted to. But let's leave it for a second and just do some basic house organization stuff over here, because we've got a very cluttered mess. I'm just going to move those up. That I'm going to resolve there. Polybevel's fine. The match size, I'd actually prefer it on this side. There we go. And then this network should technically be on the opposite side. So let's do that. And that circle can probably be plotted to there. So we don't technically need to. Pedestal pattern, fine. Copper to curves, fine. Let's flip these two around so it looks neat and tidy. And then we can just move that a little bit down. This I'm probably going to flop on this side. Can I flop it on this side? Come on. We're gonna leave that for now. Oh no. Don't crash. Just save. Very quickly save everything. Save. Yes, I've just got a random piece of a node. I don't know why it's there though. Yeah. If anyone knows how to fix that, I'm all ears. The fix that I've used in the past was literally just closing the file and reopening. But we're not going to bother with that right now. We've got a frame, guys. It's brilliant. Don't you like that? And it's much better than the roof. I didn't like the roof. Did not like the roof at all. Obviously that's a little bit wonky, but we're making progress and I'm happy. I'm very happy. We do not have what do you call it? We do not have a frame for the door yet, but I think that's going to be next week's problem. So by now I wish I took a before and after photo. Right. But okay. In terms of the frame, it's a little bit boring. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit boring. So what we're going to do is we're gonna change it. Of course we are. Of course we're gonna change it. So let's hop back into where. I've completely lost track of my network. I do not know where I am, I do not know what's up, and I do not know what's down. So I believe that's segment 1. It's segment 1. In terms of this frame, the first thing I want to do is I actually want to change the orientation of the what do you call it? Pattern. I want to change the orientation of the pattern. That means my scaling will be off again, but it's just too boring. What more can I say? Right, so that is going to be in the bob. With the bob pedestal pattern, it's going to be that one. We want we ended up not using the resample. Here it is. Here it is. So, let's see. Because it doesn't have to be boring. We can technically adjust to our heart's content. We probably don't have enough samples for what I'm trying to do here. But be that as it may, we could also make it smaller, like the actual sweep. So if we can fit more details in. So let's do that. Let's do one. And then I want to test something. I want to test something. So that's going to be rotated in one of these directions. It's not that one. Is this one? No. For second reason, do tend to add Greeble or just tweak displacement maps, cops, mats. Secondary details in the sense of textures or just like finer detailing. In general, I just use a lot of curves, which is not the best way to do it because it's a lot of geometry, but that's my general method for most things. Alright, so let's see. Brilliant. In terms of, let's see what else we can do. Let's do another sweep. And I'm going to merge these just to see where I get. No. Oh, let's do. Why is nothing happening? I think I've broken my software. Because if I press tab, I don't get notes. Right. It would not be a live stream if I did not break something. It works in this network, but for some reason, in this file, if I press tab, a whole lot of nothing happens. Like in this, for example, final details and stones, really, AI bits, etc. Yeah, I do it all with curves, which is not probably the optimal way to do it. There is other ways to do it. Cops would probably be better. Displacement. Honestly, there's a lot of better ways to do it. I just enjoy playing with curves. So that's why for most of my secondary details, I do use curves. It also depends how far I'm taking the project. For example, I want this project to be more detailed than Lantern was. So in that case, I might have to research other methods just to be more confident with them and be able to do detailing easier and quicker. But that's a different story. No, that one. And then my nodes are not functional. Let's see. Add node. Thank you. Brilliant. Right, so that goes into there, that goes into there. You might want it before there. Okay, but that's not quite what I want. Right, so that is going to have to be split apart. So let's copy that, plop that into there, that goes into there. This technically, I do not want centered. Well, I do want it centered, but I want it actually in the center. Do I though? Do I? Potentially not. What I could do is leave this at minimum Right, let's template that one. Actually, at this point. But then I would want that to be lifted up. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see. I actually like that. I don't think I do. Let's leave it at minimum. And then... Hello Mario, thank you for joining me today. How are you? And Houdini is brilliant. What are we cooking up? We're cooking up a tower. And that's going to be part of a larger environment, but to actually show what we're working with here. Let's jump another one out. This is what we've got so far. So right now I'm basically detailing this fence area because it's too boring. No other way of putting it, it's too boring. So yeah, bottom line is I'm adding more detailing to that. So no, I don't want to be a door. I want to be in segment 1. Right, brilliant. So pedestal pattern, and then let's see. That gets plopped into there. That gets plopped into there. That gets plopped into there. Right, brilliant. That does look quite funny though. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Right, so segment 1. Let's just see what we're working with. And that is what we're working with. Which I don't actually like at all. I wonder if we rotate it where I'll like it more. Because I do want some form of overlap. So can we change this? Ghost other objects maybe? No. I'll just see other things. Apparently I cannot. Right, so rotating. That's going to be in this node, and we are going to be rotating apparently not in that direction. Right, maybe in this one. Potentially. I'm basically just going to rotate it till I like the shape from a distance. Obviously close up looks hideous. Not actually quite sure what I want. Let's do that. That is absolutely awful. Right, undo. Forget that plan. That plan is a non-functional plan. What if, instead of doing this, I copy and transform it into a circle? Let's try it. So I'm going to void this lot. I'm going to do a transform. Or not. Let's do a transform. And then I'm going to do copy and transform. That gets plopped there, that goes into there. And now I need to remember very well what I need to do. That's going to be in the X direction. So that's going to be page relative reference, and that's going to be, is it divide by or times? I think it's divide. Yes. Then we get this, which is huge, but very fun. Very, very fun. And what if we plop that into the center of that? Potentially. So let's transform it. Yeah, let's do that. Transform, and then we are going to scale it by a lot. But I actually want this to be centered though, so let's quickly look at that. So let's just plop a match size in there. We could do it a different way, but I'm just going to do a match size. So let's go to there, that goes into there, and then, okay, that centers in the world as well. Don't want that, I'm just going to do none, none. Very Victorian tangled indeed. Yes, yes, because it's fun. Like patterns, details are fun. So let's do minimum. Yeah. Copy and transfer. Oh, that's not quite what I had in mind. That is not quite what I had in mind. What if we do the match size afterwards? We could just do the match size afterwards. Why not? That could be minimum. Brilliant. And now if I scale it, it'll actually scale accordingly. And we'll get that. In terms of scaling, I actually think probably not that much. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Why not? And then this needs to be swept, but it probably needs to be swept smaller. So I'm actually going to make this one bigger, just so it's not so big of a jump in comparison. And then this one can obviously not be this big, because then we get this mess. So let's try 0.5. I mean at a distance. And then we can merge that into that, and that'll give us this. Just quickly lift it up a teeny bit. Maybe we can try a few less. No, it's better before. Right, I wonder if we... No, but I mean, we could try it. Let's scale it slightly sideways. Just a little bit. That's going to be easy. I mean, does it really matter if it goes outside of it? Surely not. Let's do that, and I think I'm going to make that a little bit thicker. Let's see. Let's see. Hello. It's huge. What am I templating, by the way? What is getting templated? None of these. Ew, I've got an extra curve somewhere. Okay, so firstly I'm going to get rid of this because I'm not using that. Secondly, I'm going to get rid of that. Right, brilliant. That was it. That was it. Look at the produce! I'm happy. Right, so obviously this isn't quite lining up, which is fine. And we're probably going to have to lift it up a little bit. Probably. Copy to curves, that's fine. Merge. So that's getting sweet. So potentially we want this to be lifted up a little bit. I'm trying to think what the easiest way would be. We could potentially lower this a little bit, which is a little bit clunky. No, we cannot lower that apparently. We can sweep that. Is fine. That gets copied to that. That's fine. Now this is a bit too high. I've got two problems. Firstly, this circle over here is too low, and that's too high. So what we can probably do is create an additional circle for it, which I actually had initially, but I ended up changing it. But yeah, bottom line is not by that much. It's Lower down, slightly down. Yeah, let's do that. Don't die. Please don't die. Right. Now, in theory, this is too detailed compared to everything else. But that's fine. We'll work with it. We'll detail everything else to compensate for it. We can probably bury in that same circle thing into this area, and that'll look cool. But I think that'll be next week's problem. So, thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.